live stream schedule, so we'll stick to our 5 o'clock start time. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. We, as I said, live streaming, and so I think some people are probably staying in the comfort of their own homes and listening there. So thank you for joining us. My name is Lauren Peibinger, and my role at Columba is I'm the assistant principal in charge of programs, and one of those big programs is our NCEA qualification system, and making sure that our students know what know what's required of them to achieve each level. So level 1 is the first big entry point in terms of the qualification system. You would have heard a lot talked about in the media about some schools opting not to do level 1. We have opted to continue with level 1 in its entirety. We believe that it's a really good stepping stone for our students, and it prepares them really well going forward. So level 1 is very much a part of our program. But a big stepping stone for our students, but I think they're very well prepared. So if we look at the qualification in terms of credit counts, this is what it's based on. Everything comes down to credits. So to get level 1, a student needs to get 60 credits from within their subject choices. Our Year 11s all do 6 subjects, and so throughout those 6 subjects they need to accumulate at least 60 credits. Doesn't matter what level those credits are, as long as they're achieved or higher, but you only get credits if you pass that standard. In addition to that, you have to have 10 numeracy credits and 10 literacy credits, and those literacy credits are broken into both reading and writing, 5 of each. Most of our students sat those last year as Year 10 students. We had our first sitting in May and our second in September. So some students already have that, some students are still working towards those credits. They are standardised across the country. They're run by NCEA. We just nominate our window of time and that examination becomes live. So some students will already have the 20 required literacy and numeracy credits sitting there, and you will be able to see that on your KMAR login. How do you get there? So each subject at Columba offers either 3 or 4 standards. That doesn't mean that's all that we teach, but within our teaching program there are 4 assessment points, up to 4 in level 1. When you get to level 2 and level 3 there could be 6 or 7 assessment points, different standards within that. 2 of those standards are internally assessed. That means they are set by the school and they are marked by your classroom teacher. The other 2 are externally set, and that means they are set by NCEA and they are marked by NCEA. So even in subjects like physical education or art, you can be doing your work for an external, but it will be sent away to an NCEA marker. It's not your classroom teacher that will mark an external. So 10 credits will be marked by your classroom teacher and 10 credits externally by an NCEA employee. Taking 6 subjects at Columba will offer you up to 120 credits, so there's absolutely no shortage. There's plenty of credits on offer, and that reflects the breadth of our curriculum that we're covering. So there's no problem there. Is that difference between internally and externally assessed clear? Yeah? So how does a course look now? You'll see that each standard will have a number. 1.1 and 1.2 will be your internally assessed standards, and 1.3 and 1.4 will be your externally assessed standards. In the case of most courses, they will be assessed in November in the assessment period. Each is worth 5 credits each, and will go through to your complete 60 number. For some courses you could do, history for example has done the unseen source from level 2 rather than the level 1 standard. If that is the case, those level 2 credits will count for your level 1. So if I picked up 6 level 2 credits from my unseen sources history external, then those 6 credits go towards my 60 for level 1, and they also hold for my level 2. So you kind of get to double dip a little bit on those. Yeah, and as I said before, some courses do have submitted work for external assessments. In the first year of the new program, they started running one external within the schools, and nationwide it was a bit of a disaster. So last year that changed back to all externals being held in that window in November. What does it look like? Hopefully you can all access your Kmart student or parent portal. If you can't, please contact us and we can make sure you can log in there. Looking at a level 1 program, you can see that the 2 ticks there are identifying the numeracy pathway and the literacy pathway. So this student has got both the 10 credits for numeracy and then the 5 reading credits and the 5 writing credits. So they've got the 2 ticks up on the right hand side for that NCEA qualification. You can't actually get any NCEA level without having those 2. So you must have it for level 2 as well. The credit count will accumulate next to NCEA level 1. This student, for example, has done possibly a first aid course, something like that, which has a unit standard value of 2. So that will sit in the level 2, but it will contribute towards the level 1 total. So the co-requisite is what we were talking about that students have done in year 10. If you were absent, you weren't here, you were sick, you're away, or you possibly missed, then all those things are absolutely fine. There are another 2 opportunities this year for students to gain those credits. It could be that you just needed reading, could be that you just needed numeracy, and we'll just enter you in that relevant standard. And you can have another go at it. Your teachers or your HODs or heads of department particularly will have you on their radar and they will ensure that you're prepared for that. They might not drag you out of class, take you out of classes and give you some extra resourcing to help you or familiarise you, because it could well be your first time. They can also be gained through some subject standards. I'm a geography teacher and one of our standards offers numeracy. So if a student in my class, we've done our research, they've collected their information, they've presented their information, they get a merit grade for that paper, then those 5 credits could then contribute to their numeracy if they needed it for that. But it can't then contribute to the 60 as well. So just one or the other. But as I say, we offer plenty of credits, so that's never really an issue. The same happens within English, so some of your English standards, your 2 internals for English will be tagged to that reading and writing, and if you need to, those credits, and it will automatically happen, will go into your literacy requirement and out of your 60. Does that make sense? Okay, you guys are getting. Levels of achievement. So we have 4 different levels of achievement. It used to be, and it could well go back to being, our ABC type system. There's a bit of talk of full grades for courses coming back. But under NCEA we have 4 different grade levels. Not achieved is not quite meeting the standard required yet. Achieved, merit and excellence. And students will in most instances get a matrix when they get given a assessment, and that will clearly show what needs to be done to reach each of those levels. So achieve might be describe, merit might be explain, excellence might be examine. Does that make sense? So in terms of our higher level of thinking is required for each of those grades. So those matrix that you're given are really good keys to success to make sure. Have I said why? If I have, I must be explaining. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter what level you pass it at, you get the same number of credits. So whether I get excellence or whether I get achieve, I will get 5 credits for that standard. The level of achievement then contributes to endorsements. To get a level endorsement, so to get NCEA Level 1 endorsed with excellence, you need to get 50 of your credits at excellence level or higher. Well, you can't get any higher. So you have to get 50 credits at excellence. To get merit, you have to have 50 merit credits or higher. There are also subject endorsements, and subject endorsements are based on 14 credits within your course. That means that you need to get usually 2 internals at those high grades and at least 1 external. Or you could get 2 externals and 1 internal, or you could get all 4. So I could get level 1 geography endorsed with merit. That means I've got 14 credits or more at merit level, or I could get level 1 geography endorsed with excellence, which means I've got 14 or more at excellence level. Does that make sense? At Columba, we offer academic blues, and academic blues are given to our students who gain excellence endorsements overall. So if you were to get 50 credits or higher at excellence, you would be recognised in our academic blues assembly, and you'd get a blue for the pocket of your blazer. So some key changes that people tend to notice between the middle school and senior school assessment programs are authenticity and referencing of material. So we know that AI is an amazing tool in lots of ways, but it's not an amazing tool at telling us what you understand. And so ensuring that you are using AI, if you are using AI, in a way that is helping develop your understanding, which then you can convey in your own written form. So it's a really big part of our assessment program. We have pretty robust practices in terms of checking student work and verifying work to be your own. And part of that is checkpointing. So that would mean that maybe we've got a 3-week period where we're working on an internal assessment. At the end of week 1, I'm checkpointing to see where you're at. At the end of week 2, I'm checkpointing to see where you're at. And I might conference with you. Come and tell me, how are you going? What are you finding hard? How much more have you got to do? Do you think you've fully answered this part of the question? Those types of things. And that really informs us of how you're processing through your assessment. Assessments that show up on the last day probably will put some question marks into your teacher's head in terms of how has this come about to be so robust. So there are lots of practices there that just help us and help you. We're all very tempted to find those shortcuts and make things a little bit easier, but in the long run, that's not going to pay off. So just remembering about referencing your material. If you have taken a section that could be factual, it could be a quote, then you need to reference it. And if you've got questions about that, just make sure that you're asking your teachers all the time. Absences, so justified versus unjustified absences. If there is an assessment and you choose to be away on that assessment day, so it's what we'd call an unexplained but unjustified absence, then technically that is a not achieved grade. So you do have to make sure. We sometimes have students who are going away for a period of time for one reason or another. If that's the case and that's well communicated, a student can be withdrawn from a standard on those grounds. And that's it's not the end of the world, because there are, as I said, up to 120 credits on offer. But if there is an unexplained absence, then that is a not achieved grade. So really, really important that if there is an event that leads you to being unable to attend an assessment, a medical certificate, communicating with the teacher, letting the office know what's going on as quickly as possible can really help clear up those situations. We fully recognise that things happen that are well and truly out of our control, but there are also things, as you know, the ministry is really cracking down on absences, and so avoiding things like family holidays in the school calendar, those types of things are the best way to go. Students will all be getting assessment planners at the start of their classes, so a year overview of when your assessments will fall. Obviously things are always subject to change for us as well, but we try and give indicators of when those assessments will fall. We do have 2 assessment periods. Year 11 don't have mid-year exams. You'll be disappointed to know, girls. No mid-year exams, but you certainly have end-of-year exams. And those end-of-year exams are week 1 of term 4. They are crucial exams in that they generate what is known as a derived grade. So if for some reason you are unable to make your examination at the end of the year, then that derived grade can apply. This year we had a few students who were very close to having to use those because there was an accident on the motorway and they couldn't physically get here. They were locked up in the space, and if you're not in that exam room within 45 minutes of the start time, you cannot go in. So completely out of their control. Nothing that they had done, they timed it well, they were never going to be late, but that accident really added to the stress for them on that day. So really important that you prepare well. Some people find it a little bit difficult following those holidays, but it's also, we work really hard to finish our whole internal program by the end of term 3, so all internals are done, and then we can just focus on the externals. So instead of going internals, a bit of externals, back to internals, back to externals, we go really hard on all our internals, we get that done, and then we just focus on the externals. We've got 4 weeks between those practice externals and the actual externals. So then that can help inform the learning, look at areas that you need to spend a bit more time on or get some more assistance with, and then you'll be feeling even more prepared for your final examinations. Meeting deadlines, same thing. Oops, I forgot, doesn't really cut it. So you do need to make sure you're setting alarms, things like that. If you know that those types of things are difficult for you, make sure you're putting those reminders on. The vast majority of our classes run our assessments through Google Classroom, and so you will have to submit that by 9 o'clock on Thursday. Right, and that has to be done by then. And if it doesn't, then it gives us an alert straight away that somebody hasn't submitted their work. So please make sure that, remember when you think you're done, have I submitted? Because that's the one that can sometimes trip you up a little bit. So, end of year examinations, I've talked a little bit about that first week of term 4 being our practice exams, so that's the 12th to the 16th of October. Students will be on study leave just as they would in an examination period and just come into school for their exams. This year the examination period is actually a little bit later than it has been in previous years. So our exams start on Tuesday the 10th of November and run through to Friday the 4th of December. You can see the examination timetable. It's on NCEA's homepage already, so you can absolutely map it out. There will be some students that have clashes, so 2 exams at the same time. If you are one of those students, then you will be held between the morning examination period and the afternoon examination period. So you'll just sit with a friendly face, have your lunch, chat away, but you won't have any access to digital devices in that time. So that's just one of the wee surprises that comes along at the end of the year for some people. Everything's about authenticity and making sure that it's fair and equitable for everyone. With all the changes that are happening all the time, it's not going to affect this year's Year 11 cohort. So you will follow the same program that we taught last year and this year. So it's a good thing. You're tracking well to just have a fairly stable ride, I would think, in terms of new curriculums and changes happening there. Okay, any questions?
How would it affect the Year 9s of this year?
So our Year 9s will be our first ones that will have the level 1 change. Hard to say exactly what that looks like at the moment, but anticipating that level 1 will go, and they'll go into a 2-year assessment program from Year 12 and Year 13.
So do you mean they go straight into level 2?
Yeah, so level 1 will not be level 1.
Yeah.
So it'll go back to a Year 12 assessment program. Kind of like Australia, they just have 2 years of assessment. Some of the criticism of our assessment programs is that we do 3 years, and that is much more or far earlier than other countries. So they're looking at going back to more of a full course assessment, not as compartmentalised as it is now, and just looking at 2 full years of assessment. Yeah. But who knows?
Yeah.
2 years away, who knows what ideas could change between now and then.
Just with the achieved merit and excellence, just to get your head around it, is it literally a tick box or is it based on a percentage like it used to be?
Yeah, no, it's not a percentage at all
anymore. So
anymore.
there's no percentage?
No.
Because you don't...
Yeah. With externals, it's a little bit different. Externals are typically out of 24. And so as an external is marked through, typically around, I think it's 11 to 14 is an achieved, 15 to 19 is a merit, 20 to 24 is an excellence. But internally, absolutely not. We don't do any
how
numbers.
subjective could that be?
Yeah,
depending on your teacher.
Yes and no. There's a lot of benchmarking. So we have a lot of resource that tells us that this is the type of thing that we should be looking for. We are required to moderate. So every single assessment that we run at school has to have a minimum moderation. And that moderation has to be done by a subject specialist. So what would happen is a sample of the work I've marked would then go to another subject specialist. They would look at it and say, oh, you've been a bit hard on your merits there. And then I would go back and look at similar papers.
And can they be altered?
Absolutely,
yep.
Yes. And we're also, NCEA also moderates our internally assessed work. So they will pick standards and we'll have to send a sample of grade boundaries to NCEA, and then they report on us. So we get a report every year breaking down subject by subject in terms of the moderation agreement rates. Yeah, which are also subjective, but yeah, no, it's definitely not a number, and nothing is 1 + 1 = 2 in the majority of subjects, so yeah. But they are moderated.
It's hard as a parent to go, oh, that's great, but you don't really know what it means.
Yes,
That's the difficulty.
Yeah, hopefully that you're getting some feedback there on what you've done well and what you would need to do to reach that next grade boundary. And yeah, I think looking at those matrices, really understanding, and we're doing a lot of work on understanding language with students at the moment, making sure those key directive words are really understood. What does it mean to explain? What does it mean to describe? Yeah, but I'm pretty comfortable with where our moderation process is at. If a student is unhappy with the grade, they have 1 week to appeal that grade. And if they appeal that grade, that will then go to the HOD in the first instance, unless they're the teacher, and then it will go to another subject specialist, and then it would be remarked on that.
And with Columba having a large range of credits available, am I right in assuming that they could do as many as they like and just their top credits are taken for the endorsement at the end?
You just have to get 50. So of your 120, if you got 50 at excellence and you got the other 70 at achieved, you get an excellence endorsement. So
Right.
as
So the
long
top-
as you've got those 50, it doesn't matter what the rest of your credits are coming in at. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the first aid course before and things like that,
Yes.
which do they have to be done through school, or can they be done externally and then still go towards?
They can be done externally if the provider is NCEA approved. So they must be an NCEA approved provider, and then they would send me, on the principal's nominee, that standard result, and I would input that into the system. There's other things like barista courses, coaching courses, health and safety courses, security courses that students can do. They're often unit standards rather than achievement standards. So if you see that there's a US at the start, that means that it's a simple pass or fail. So you either get it or you don't, and they don't contribute to your merit and excellence. But they do contribute to your credit count. Yeah. So there's lots of opportunity, and our students will know that you get lots of emails from Ms. Mackay. Well, you probably didn't so much as year 10s, but you will this year with those opportunities for different courses. You can do lots of them in the holidays. There are some defensive driving, for example. Lots of courses like that that can contribute. Even your learner's license, your restricted license, you can get some recognition for those skills. Yeah. So there's no shortage of credits, I promise you. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, you can contact me anytime, either via email or come into school. I have got that little pamphlet there if that's of any help, or if anyone on the live stream wants to pick one up from me at any point, just let me know. It does seem like a bit of a minefield the first time you come across this, but trust me, it works. We'll get you there. Okay?
It was really informative.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you
And,
for holding it.